It's December 29th, 2018, and President Trump has the government shut down because he wants $5 billion to start building a border wall. If someone as smart as the president feels like this is a solution to immigration, it must be, right? Luckily, we live in a democracy and have the right to make decisions, or at least put our 2 cents in. Most of the walls in history were built by communists, and the people had no say. If you've never spent time on the border, it may seem like a chaotic war zone where people are running across all day with Border Patrol on their heels. That's only what we see in the news. Most of it's tranquil. The southern border of the United States is over 2,000 miles long, through some of the most inhospitable terrain on Earth. The most unreasonable person on the planet wouldn't build a fence on top of a 100-foot cliff, thinking it's going to deter someone from crossing any more than the cliff is going to. That's not the portion this story is focused on. We're going to Cameron County, the Eastern Terminus of the United States southern border, where SpaceX is launching a rocket to Mars, and another man is planning to stop the same ingenious species by building a fence to corral people in like cattle. However, last I checked, cattle weren't trying to fly into space. Elon Musk versus President Trump. Today is a very important video because next week in the Senate, they are voting on funding to complete the border wall through Cameron County, which is Brownsville and where the Rio Grande enters the Gulf of Mexico. Boca, Boca Chica, where the river meets the sea. It has to be built above the floodplain, so there is quite a bit of private property that's going to be caught in between the actual wall and the river. Behind me is part of SpaceX's new South Texas facility, and I've been flying a drone over the areas that could potentially be cut off and left in no man's land between the river and the wall. It's the best way to explain it. And earlier, SpaceX has a launch pad up the road, and there's a fence that runs in front of it. And I'm not sure if that's owned by the government, if it's meant to be there for border security, or if it is part of SpaceX just protecting their construction site. But building a fence through here would be something you don't see very commonly because it is essentially a bay. There's not much in here. Water comes and goes with the tide. It's all low-lying, I guess, kind of marsh. And then the river is back, I don't know, maybe a mile behind it, a half a mile. I don't know if you would build through there. So the best place to actually build a continuous wall into the ocean would be right here along the road, which they have done a little farther up. And would they wall off the new launch pad? Like if a continuous wall was built through here, would the launch pad be isolated? Isn't it crazy to think there is a man trying to colonize Mars, and at the same time there's another very powerful man trying to stop ingenious people from crossing a border by building a fence? So there's quite a few places in Cameron County that would be cut off from a potential wall, and there are already some places that have been cut off by one, but we're not getting into that because it's already built. The goal is to shed some light on the areas where a wall does not exist at this point and would require funding to build. The whole vote was delayed because of George Bush Sr.'s, H.W. Bush's death. And I think he would be proud that he was able to delay the vote. on a potential border wall. Okay, we're moving on. So, driving back down the road where the trailers and like a couple houses are, there was a lot for sale. I called the realtor and found out it's $47,000 on the river, and the dude next door has a dock. You could definitely put a boat in here and take it straight out into the ocean. There's no septic tanks allowed and there's no water wells, so you gotta haul your water and then haul your poo off afterwards. Which, I don't know, that would be a huge pain. There is electricity, but you can put solar panels in. Well, I don't know, it's cloudy a lot. What I really wanted to say is the realtor told me that the people who own Cards Against Humanity, that, you know, the card game, bought the lot next door to this one. And they put a 30-foot trebuchet on it to launch, I guess, stuff across the river. The whole theory is that if we're gonna fight an old world tactic, then we better use old world weapons. Their goal is to own the property, and when it's trying to be taken from using eminent domain, they will fight it in court. There you go. We are so close to South Padre Island right here that you can see it through the center of this brush. I want to say it's less than 20 miles. So we're back at Massey's gun range right now, which backs up to the Rio Grande. I got an aerial shot earlier, and he doesn't seem to be concerned. Like, even if they put a wall up down here, he's like, well, they'll have a gate. I can drive through it, and we can still be here. It's like on an island in the river. He's got a 50 cal. I've been carrying a bullet that Jeff gave me around for a year, and it's a great talking point, but I've never shot one. And I'm really excited, and I'm a little bit scared at this point, because it's just a big, heavy barrel and a stock. There's none of that fancy, like, sniper stuff, recoil. I mean, that's a big boy right there. Dude, that hit, that one hit. I gotta carry the gun back inside. It weighs like 40 pounds. Two things seem a little odd to me right now. One, we just shot a 50 caliber rifle basically into Mexico over the top of the Rio Grande. There was a dirt berm there that catches the bullets, but that's a little discomforting. Two, this is the end of the wall outside of Brownsville. So far we have passed SpaceX, some houses, Massey's gun range, and a few ranches inland, plus a border patrol checkpoint in about 15 miles. And the reason they have fences and walls like this is it increases response time. I want to say on average they assume it will slow a person down 90 seconds. Something like this 20 to 30 foot wall. And I was just thinking about it. This right here would actually be a great place to cross because there's a checkpoint coming from Boca Chica, and the end of the wall is just a couple hundred yards past the checkpoint. So, I mean, that would be one less station you had to deal with. If they continue it, I assume it's going to be the most reasonable path along the river. And then when they get into the floodplain, you know, or the bay marsh, I don't know how that's going to work. But I found it in the end of the field. As much time as I've spent down here, I haven't seen any illegals, and not even that much trash here. Now in Boca Chica, there was a couple of kids that came across on a fishing boat, jumped in their girlfriend's car, and drove off. And if they had fake papers, then they could get in. The checkpoints are where we really catch people, and then having papers and what it takes to live illegally. Crossing that river isn't hard, and it's never gonna be. And if it is, then they'll just go some other way. They'll get a tourist visa and fly in and never go home. Just in case you didn't know, Border Patrol drags those tires along the border and roads so that they can see footprints. It's tropical down here. It feels like a jungle. Whee! I'm not saying that immigration is not a problem. It is. But it's ironic that we have so much faith in humanity traveling to space and so little thinking humans cannot get past a wall. The southern border of the United States is only 25% of the total border, and we have a finite number of resources to patrol it. A 2,000-mile wall is expensive and also becomes an impenetrable barrier for wildlife, isolating the water supply for cities and farmers along it. Who would have ever thought there would be a country club with a pool, clubhouse, and a boat ramp on the Rio Grande? This is the River Bend Golf Club and Resort. There's a lot of RVs and mobile homes in here. And this is a bend in the Rio Grande. So just on the edge of the wall is the entrance to the River Bend Resort and Golf Club. So I'm wondering, since it's built right on the water, if they do decide to build a continuous wall down here, is that place just gonna get scrapped? That's one of the issues with it. There's a lot of farmers and there's a lot of private land being lost in between where the proposed wall will be built and the Rio Grande. It'll kind of be a no man's land, and I assume the government would declare eminent domain on it. I mean, that's the proper way to do it. But some people don't want to give it up, especially if it's been in their family for a while. And it's productive farmland. There's a lot of food grown down here between the wall and the river. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I'm just telling y'all the way it is, the way it's going down, what they're planning on doing. Make your own opinions. I don't want to share mine. Thank you. Over half of illegal aliens enter the country legally and then overstay their visas. A wall in urban environments is a good thing to stop petty thieves and crime. But when nature has made an area uninhabitable, we don't need a wall to reinforce that. The physical world has already done it. Why add more trash to it than necessary? Before backing an idea, be sure you have correct information. If the person trying to sway your opinion is controlling the information used to form that opinion, then who's really in charge? I hope y'all learned something. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you very soon. Peace.